The Drive project is a intervention for high risk, high harm individuals that are using abusive behaviours in intimate and intrafamilial, so family member to family member relationships. I guess that looks like in practice with the high risk, high harm domestic abuse perpetrators is a range of strategies that are employed by the Drive delivery partner across a multi-agency team. And that range of strategies is really quite broad. But ultimately, the key is to either stop or limit that person's potential being harmful. And so we work quite closely with our criminal justice partners, our social care colleagues, housing, substance misuse, to name but just a few, in a coordinated, collaborative response around this person. So much of the role also is working with those clients on an intensive one-to-one basis and building a relationship of such where, and I feel this is the benefit of one of the many benefits of the Drive program, it is the one-to-one approach where the professional relationship that our case managers, they're able to, I guess, transcend some of the issues that may present for men, primarily, is what we're working with, in groups, whilst groups are fantastic and they absolutely have their place. I think there's many motivations to stay away from talking about quite shameful behaviours within a group setting. And so I think the one-to-one intensive relationship that can be built between the client and the professional can transcend some of that stuff. And so therefore it has an ability to be, it's more bespoke, but also therefore more intensive as a response. What we have is alongside is wraparound support for the victim as well, and therefore support for associated children. We were very lucky in the early days to have the University of Bristol walk alongside us and essentially critically assess us. And the production of a 3-year published study has taken place, and obviously that's done independently. And within that report, which you could find on Drive's website, you'll see a significant risk reduction reported, but really importantly as well, not only just from clients and victim survivors, but professionals too. They were equally engaged within that independent review too. I'm very fortunate as part of my role. I travel nationally interviewing both the individuals causing the harm in the relationship and the person on the receiving end of that harm. And I've heard a number of stories, and one actually that stays with me, this domestic abuse perpetrator had been causing harm within his relationship, but also generally within society. He'd had a very small bout in his adult and adolescent life, actually in the community. We're talking in the region of 3 months, only outside of a custodial, youth custodial environment and adult custodial environment. And he'd been now open to Drive for over 12 months and actually working with the case manager, and had not reoffended nor had been inside. And I was fortunate enough to be able to interview actually both him and his partner, and therefore understand some of the changes that happened in their relationship, and moreover the changes that he had made and the journey that he had been on, and to have that ratified by a partner, but also learn from the professionals before going into that interview that actually this has been ratified for months on end from social care, from housing providers, from the people working directly with them across the multi-agency wraparound, and coming from a position of being ultimately a terrorist within the home and generally offending outside of the home in society as well. And the cost associated to that is horrific. It's so much trauma within the family and outside the family. And to see this person move from there to a position of being emotionally, psychologically, someone now that can be trusted, that is a key part of the family unit, that isn't causing harm or fear or trauma anymore. And then equally out towards society in general, to see somebody now as a constructive member of the community when before had their local community in terror. And so, yeah, it's life-changing work.